2016. I'm Ainsley Earhart. Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail, fresh off this week's debate, and he is firing up the huge crowds like this.
And we're going to get rid of cricket. I mean, we're going to get rid of that crooked woman. She's a crooked woman. She's a very, very dishonest woman.
And breaking this morning, a few major endorsements that nobody saw coming. Trump's deputy campaign manager, David Bossie, is going to be here to react to that next.
And does Hillary Clinton have the stamina to be president of the United States? Donald Trump? Not so sure.
She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina. I said she doesn't have the stamina.
He was talking about stamina, apparently. Do voters agree? What people really think about Hillary Clinton's health coming up?
And it was supposed to be the perfect proposal.
Took out the ring, and the ring dropped, and they could not find it. And they're looking now under the chairs. Well, they've got a story.
The question is, did he strike out or just take 2 strikes? Did he actually go down for the count? You curious?
And do you say no? If there's no ring, do you automatically say no?
And this is in rehearsal, we didn't have the give and take. But Ainsley just added that at the last second. Mornings are better with friends. Cue the animation.
The great thing about this story is he asked her to get married, popped the ring, dropped it, but it was on the Yes Network.
That's great. Fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll tell you that story in just a minute. In the meantime, we are now 41 days until the presidential election. And now we're learning the first debate was the most watched in television history, with 84 million people tuning into the TV. Don't know about how many online. That's going to be a big number, too.
And now the Trump campaign is cashing in a huge way.
But money isn't the only thing they're gaining. Good news for the Trump camp as we go to John Roberts. He wants me to tell everybody he's the national senior correspondent. Hi, John.
No. That would be senior national. I'm not yet a senior, so I'm not yet the national senior.
We're in a senior moment.
But sometime down the road, I just may be. Yeah, big news for the Donald Trump campaign. They announced that 50 alumni from the Bush administration have gotten behind him to support him and say that they'll vote for him. They include, let's put up some baseball cards here, 5 of the 50 include Donald Rumsfeld, Ari Fleischer, John Ashcroft, who has a beautiful singing voice, by the way, Elaine Chao, Tommy Thompson, then there's a list of 45 others. Donald Trump back on the campaign trail yesterday after the debate, a huge rally in Melbourne, Florida, in which he really stuck to the script as opposed to what he did earlier in the day, really lashing out at Hillary Clinton, calling her borderline incompetent, very critical of her. Listen to what he said.
She bragged about how she traveled all over the world. And that's true. She traveled all over the world. And you know what it got us? Nothing. Nothing. It got us debt, and it's got us death. We have death and debt and unemployment. We have all bad things.
Donald Trump campaign also announced that in the 24 hours after that debate, they raised a whopping $18 million from online and email donations. They say that sets a new record. Certainly, that is a tremendous amount of money, and probably the reason why David Bossie will tell you in a couple of minutes that he's so dang tired because he never gets any sleep anymore. Brian, Ainsley, Steve.
All right, John Roberts telling us what our next guest is going to be saying. Thank you very much.
How dare
He's
he?
apparently working with the Psychic Friends Network.
And Nostradamus.
David Bossie is the deputy campaign manager for Trump Pence, and he joins us live. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, congratulations on these endorsements. You got Ted Cruz like a week or so ago. Where's John Kasich?
Well, you know, John Kasich's working through his own situation in his
What
state.
is his situation?
You know, I'm trying to figure out what that is every day, but we're looking forward to working with all of them. Look, we got Governor John Sununu as well. We're really excited about really bringing the party together. You can see the momentum coming with Ted Cruz really leading the way, and that's been a very big opportunity for us in the last week.
Ted Cruz has offered his services to help with the debate prep, too, and we know he's one of the finest debaters in the country, that by his former professors and everything. Will you take him up on that?
You know what? We're going to take all things under consideration. You know, Ted Cruz is one of the great debaters of all time. Mr. Trump and I spoke about that just the other day when we saw that Ted offered that. So we're gonna be in touch.
He said on our show, I think it was our show, I heard him say that he's the toughest guy he's ever gone up against.
Absolutely.
Now, as inappropriate as it might be, the media out there, the mainstream media, is declaring a winner in this. They're saying Hillary Clinton was the winner in the debate. Look at the coverage.
Trump upset about his mic, upset about some of the questions.
Today in North Carolina, a victory lap for Hillary Clinton.
Like a player going back to watch game films, Clinton was eager to relive the debate. Top Democrats did a victory lap, even as Trump warned he'll be tougher in round 2.
Trump gave Hillary Clinton's campaign a huge gift by acting like a misogynistic bully last night.
Wow.
Okay. You know, I think a lot of people thought that it was pretty much a draw because there was no knockout punch, but the mainstream media, the left liberal press, said she was the big winner.
You know, I don't know what they're watching, and we're glad that they're disconnected. Look, the polls are showing Mr. Trump is winning. The polls after the debate, they're online, they're non-scientific. We won almost every one of them. Best case for them, they had a draw. Mr. Trump showed that he was presidential. He showed the American people that he had the gravitas, that he had the knowledge base, the temperament to be president. You know, he went in, the mainstream media worked up to this debate saying, the Clintons are saying he doesn't know anything, he's going to be fact-checked throughout. Right. None of that happened. He has really dismissed that entire idea. Donald Trump is deeply involved in these issues, and he knows them very well.
The PPP poll said that Hillary won 51-40, and the CNN poll was overwhelming 60-27. The other polls, the online polls, show you guys winning by an overwhelming margin. But in the big picture, as a guy that you have to have your guy win at the end, he can't be happy with the way he handled the Iraq situation, the birther comments. Those weren't odd. They didn't seem to be played that well.
Well, look, Hillary Clinton didn't handle a lot of questions well either, and I think that we are looking forward to the next debate to be able to really talk about those national security issues that this debate's on.
Will you review the tapes?
You know what? I think that's part of the post-debate process that we're going to go through. Absolutely. We'll watch it. Absolutely.
Definitely. How do you address this? Hillary Clinton talked about him being a sexist and a racist. She talked about some of the comments he's made about women. How do you address that? Because she's going to continue to do that.
You know, it's troubling because clearly Mr. Trump held his his tongue
but
when
next time he's going to have a response.
Well, I think that if you look at Hillary Clinton's background and if you look at her being an enabler, really, in the 90s and really attacking these women, it goes against everything that she now tries to spout as a candidate for president. She'll say and do anything. Those are Barack Obama's words, not mine, that she'll say and do anything to become president of the United States. And I think we're seeing that now.
David, the one thing she had to do on Monday night was she could not cough. And she did not cough. And there's a great big, the cover of the Drudge report this morning was an Associated Press poll. Voters more confident in Trump's health. Voters, especially men, more confident Trump is healthy enough for the presidency than Hillary. Nearly half of women, just 4 in 10 men, think Hillary's health is getting too much attention. There it is right there. Is her health an issue?
I think, I think absolutely her health is an issue. Her stamina is an issue, whether or not she's going to be able to fulfill her office. I mean, that's something that every 4 years, whether it's John McCain, Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, going back to President Reagan, everybody recalls 1984, his reelect. People want to know that their president that they are electing is going to be able to serve those 4 years. And I think there's lots of questions.
Well, everybody was worried about, does Trump have the sniffles? Does he have a cold? Right. Allergies, stuff like that. He was on our program yesterday. And he said no. It suggested maybe it was just the microphone was so turned up you could hear him breathing.
That's really what it was.
What did you think about Howard Dean saying what he did on Twitter? He said, if you don't know, Howard Dean wrote on Twitter something that he's sniffling a lot.
Suggested he was a coke user.
Howard Dean's out of his mind. And he's outside of his mind, maybe. I don't know. But he is, really despondent, clearly, for having written that. That's a terrible thing to say about someone.
Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Michelle Obama are all going to be out, along with Hillary Clinton, over the next month. So far, you and Mike Pence, you're a two-man army. How do you counter that?
Look, we have a tremendous campaign. We're going to be campaigning. Look, Donald Trump was in Florida all day yesterday. He's in Chicago today, Iowa, and Wisconsin today. He is all over the country. Mike Pence is traveling around the country every day. We're out there talking to people. Donald Trump had over 30,000 people show up last night in Melbourne, Florida.
On a Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday evening, 30,000. She has 300. We are winning this campaign. They are nervous. The polls are going in our direction, whether they're The national polls or the state polls, the battleground polls that are the most important are in our favor. And the Clinton campaign is getting more desperate, and their attacks are going to get more desperate.
I guess the best way to counter the president and Michelle Obama is to actually send Donald Trump out.
Or his family. He's got a big family.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
All right, let's hand it over to Abby Huntsman, who has some headlines for us. Hey, Abby.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Good morning to all of you watching. We do begin with a Fox News alert and some sad news. One of Israel's greatest leaders has died. Former President and Prime Minister Shimon Peres passed away overnight. He suffered a major stroke 2 weeks ago. If you remember, he won the Nobel Peace Prize back in 1994 for his role negotiating peace accords with the Palestinians a year earlier. President George W. Bush releasing this statement, reading in part, quote, "For the rest of his life, he led it with a deep and abiding concern for his people and a commitment to freedom and peace." The Bush family will miss Shimon Peres and his grace, dignity, and optimism. President Obama, the Clintons, and Pope Francis will attend his funeral on Friday. Shimon Peres was 93 years old. Also breaking overnight, a deadly officer-involved shooting sparking protests near San Diego. A witness capturing the moment 30-year-old Alfred Olanjo got into a shooting stance aimed at officers after pulling something from his pocket. Well, police now say it was not a weapon. You can hear the intense moments in this newly released police sound.
Still non-compliant, still won't get his hand out of his pocket. Get your hand out of your pocket. 228 shots fired. Send me an ambulance.
The man's sister calling 911 for help, describing her brother as mentally ill. The officers are now on leave. And growing concerns this morning about hackers hitting the election. The Department of Homeland Security says 18 states have accepted its offer to help improve their cybersecurity systems. And this after Russia is suspected of hacking into election databases in both Illinois and Arizona over the summer. Well, she is getting naked for Hillary, and guess what? She is not the only one.
I've briefly scanned the Constitution, and nowhere does it say you can't just roll out of bed and come to the polls in whatever state you woke up in. If you're like me, I sleep naked. Yep.
All right, so Madonna now joining Katy Perry's clickbait campaign to get people out to vote. The superstar posted this nude picture on Instagram writing, "Vote for Hillary." The two are the latest outspoken A-listers to back the Democratic nominee. Sounds tempting, you guys, but you know, I really don't want to end up behind bars, which would probably happen if that's what you do. That's what you do to get up and vote naked.
That does not sound tempting to me at all.
No, not at all. Thanks,
Roar.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hillary Clinton says this is the secret to defeating ISIS.
That means we've got to work more closely with our allies. And that's something that Donald has been very dismissive of.
Working with the allies? Oh, really? Wonder what the State Department workers who blew the whistle on Benghazi think about that. One of them, the main whistleblower, joins Brian next live.
Plus, what do you do when someone keeps stealing the campaign signs from your lawn? You make the whole lawn a campaign sign.
I
How
see
about
it.
that?
Look at that.
Get your chopper and check it out.
In the middle of our house, in the middle of our street, something tells you that you've got to make.
We've got to do everything we can to vacuum up intelligence from Europe, from the Middle East. That means we've got to work more closely with our allies. And that's something that Donald has been very dismissive of.
Well, so that is Hillary Clinton. So do actions speak louder than words? What kind of communication does she have with allies or after an operation or with her officials in the field? Let's bring in now Greg Hicks. He's a former deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy and a whistleblower with this whole Benghazi investigation. He's also worked along with Libya as well as Syria, Yemen, and Afghanistan. Greg, first off, when you heard Hillary Clinton talk about a willingness to work and coordinate, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I wrote a lot of talking points when I was a diplomat at the State Department, and my favorite was always actions speak louder than words. And when it comes to Mrs. Clinton's record on Benghazi, on Libya, on Syria, on Iraq, on the Russia reset, I have not a lot of confidence there. There's very little that she can say that would change my views, to be honest with you.
And you have over 600 requests for additional security under Hillary Clinton's State Department, went pretty much unanswered, and you had an ambassador that couldn't get in touch, who's a good friend with Hillary Clinton at a time of need, correct?
He was in dire straits in Benghazi, and of course he was relying on us to do that, and we called back, and sadly the response didn't get there in time. So it's been a tragedy.
So when you say actions speak louder than words, and you have to be willing to coordinate and travel, all we heard about is Hillary Clinton, the miles she traveled, and the places she'd been to. Does that matter? How many miles you travel?
I don't think so. The mileage is the input. It's not the output. And what Mrs. Clinton needs to be graded on are the outputs. And again, look at Libya today. Look at Syria today. Look at Iraq today. Look at over 500,000 people, poor innocent people who have died. Right. So those are the results.
So, Greg, what I'm getting from you with all your years of experience in the State Department is we are desperate for a change of perception and reality on the world stage. And what you saw on that stage was more of the same policies, and it concerns you.
Very much so. I saw exactly the Mrs. Clinton that I've seen for most of my life. And on Mr. Trump, on the other hand, I think raised the most important national security issue that we face today, and that's the issue of North Korea. And he's spot on in saying that China has to be pushed to disarm North Korea.
Greg Hicks, we've always appreciated your input because you have real-world experience with somebody that could be the next president of the United States. We have to know what we're getting into if indeed that happens. Gregory Hicks, thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it. Coming up straight ahead, we're going to talk more about the debates and which candidate made the most sense and the most progress and what will benefit your wallet the most. Our panel weighs in next, and that's the panel. That's what they looked like earlier. They even look better now.
This morning, everyone is still talking about the fiery first presidential debate, especially the candidates clashing over the economy and over jobs. Listen.
We have to renegotiate our trade deals, and we have to stop these countries from stealing our companies and our jobs.
We have to build an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top.
So how did they do? Let's get reaction from our mom panel. Beth is an attorney and a mother of 3. Lisa's an attorney and a mom. Courtney is a communications manager and a mom. Lauren is an author and a mother. And Keisha is an attorney and a mom as well. Thanks, ladies, for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
From a mother's perspective, what is most important to you during this election?
For me as a mom, one of the things that Trump said that was offensive is that he said Hillary did not have the stamina. And as a mother, a professional, a business owner, and someone who knows how to juggle being a mom and running a law practice and being professional, I took offense to that because I think for us, we have to have stamina to be able to produce and to be professional and do what we have to do. Yeah. Especially for Hillary, she's a mother and a grandmother, and to be a president of the United States, she's probably proven that she has the stamina to be in politics.
So if you look up stamina in the dictionary, next to it is going to be mom, right? We all have
Absolutely.
stamina as moms. All right, who is voting? The 2 of you in the front, y'all are voting for Hillary, right? The 3 in the back, Donald Trump supporters?
Yes.
Okay, tell me as a mom, what's most important to you, Beth?
Well, most important to me is national security, and I believe without a doubt that Trump is the better candidate on national security. His plans are better. Hillary is following in Obama's footsteps. We're going to have 8 more years. ISIS has grown since the Obama administration. ISIS is now in 30 countries, and I don't believe Hillary is going to have a plan to defeat ISIS at all. I also believe, secondarily, the economy. Trump is a lot stronger in the economy just by being a businessman, and he wants to eliminate regulations, and he wants to make sure he negotiates and renegotiates good trade deals for the United States that are going to help us, help our companies, our small businesses, and create jobs.
Right, Lauren, how many kids do you have?
I have 2. I have 2 girls. And I got to tell you, to me, values are important. And, you know, I appreciate that national security is important, but so is our Constitution and so are civil liberties. Advocating stop and frisk is offensive to me. I have 2 African-American children. threatening to blow up and
Why,
bomb
if it
other
works,
countries,
though? Why is that
threatening to use
offensive?
nuclear weapons. It's offensive. First of all, it's unconstitutional. Fundamentally, it's unconstitutional. It's a violation of people's civil liberties. But second of all, it's a question of
It's not.
well, it's actually not. But it's a question of values. And to me, to have a commander-in-chief who misses no opportunity to personally insult women, to insult minorities, to insult African Americans and Hispanics, it's deeply offensive to me.
women than men. He
It
employs
has nothing
more
to
women
do.
than men.
I don't care who he employs. When you go on national television the morning after the debate and attack someone and call them a pig and threaten, insult her for
So,
having
Lisa,
gained
what's
weight,
your response?
it is an
Hold
insult
on,
to
let's
all
let some other
women.
people talk.
It's about
What's
values
good for
and
the
the values of this nation.
What's good for the gander at night, Hillary basically was a verbal assault of insults. That wasn't positive for her. And as far as their campaign status and what they're promoting, you do have two people that have children. However, you do have Trump, who's looking at home. One of the great things that he did say, he might have inferred stop and frisk, which is up for grabs and is not unconstitutional. But he did say law and order. What about law and order? What about law and order and the fact that after Obama...
Wait a minute, one at a time, because our viewers at home can't hear anything you're saying if you don't do this one at a time.
The law and order Obama presidency, after Obama, we have more diversity in America between black and white than we've ever had before. We need to pull together. Under this president, we should have come together. We've never been further apart.
Courtney, the economy seems to be the #1 issue. According to the polls, that's why people are going to vote
Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a successful businessman. He runs a $9.5 billion empire. He employs more women than men, and in many cases pays them better than their male counterparts. So to say that he is not pro-women or to think that women are not going to vote Trump is just, it's not true. That's a narrative. That's not true.
What about Keisha? What about his child care plan? Did you like that?
I don't think it's a good idea. One thing I feel
Why not?
that
Why?
because
What
I
didn't you
feel
like
that
about
he's
it?
focused more on profit and business. Yes, he's a great businessman, but when you're talking about government, you have to look at more than just profit. You got to look at people and what we need as a society.
Part of the child care plan was that women, we've all had babies. Can you imagine having your child and not getting paid? Did anyone not get paid maternity leave?
No.
The majority
No,
of women don't get the paid maternity leave. And in his plan, women would get, I think it's 5 weeks of paid maternity leave.
No.
Is that not
It's
attractive?
actually not correct. What his plan does, and you can look on his website because I've read it and I've worked on child care
So
and
what's
maternity
wrong about
leave
what
for
I
years.
just said?
The total benefit to working mothers only, and it ignores the fact that we have men in this country who also are caregivers. The total benefit is about $1,000 for a year. The cost of child care today is $10,000 a year, and it ignores the fact that actually in the Trump plan actually pays only a tiny portion of women's salaries when they're on leave. It's
But
insufficient.
isn't that better than nothing?
He
But
expanded,
no, it's not.
wait. He
It is
also
better than nothing,
expanded
but
the
it's not
flexible
enough.
savings account. He has also expanded on the
does
flexible
not
savings
help
account.
poor women.
Lisa, let's let
We are
Lisa.
covered under disability laws as well.
Which is a
Disability
tiny
kicks
amount of money.
in when people go on leave.
All right.
It might be a tiny amount of money, but you have to look across the board. It's not just big corporations. It's smaller businesses, and people can't afford to pay full salaries.
Thank you,
When we're
ladies.
$18 trillion in debt, it's a concern.
Ladies, thank you so much. We all support one another because we're all working hard at home. We are the commanders-in-chief of our family.
That's right.
Thank you. Coming up, more trouble for someone in Hillary Clinton's inner circle as the head of the FBI is forced to explain why he let Hillary off the hook for her email scandal. We are live in Washington next. And it was supposed to be the perfect proposal.
Took out the ring, and the ring dropped, and they could not find it. And they're looking now under the chairs. Well, they've got a story.
Yeah, all the ladies are saying hopefully he has insurance. But it actually ends well. He strikes out there, but you have to see how it all ends. We're going to talk about it coming up. Oh, she's crying.
I have an important message for those of you who have been posting your opinions about who won the debate last night on Facebook. Here's the thing. Anyone who already agreed with you will continue to agree with you, and anyone who didn't won't. So next time, instead of writing out a long, passionate thing, take a little nap. You'll be glad you did.
You know what? Ultimately, how many minds really were changed by the debate on Monday?
That's a big question because the underside of the independents, that's what everything was focused on.
Yep.
We'll see.
We will.
Donald Trump calling out Hillary Clinton during the debates over her aides dodging the law during the FBI's investigation into her private email server.
When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth, so they're not prosecuted, I think it's disgraceful. And believe me, this country thinks it's disgraceful. It really thinks it's disgraceful also.
Wow. So Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry has more on the consequences of the FBI granting 5 of her aides immunity. Ed, I was surprised by this.
No doubt about it, Brian. Good morning to you and everyone. Contempt of Congress charges, in fact, will be considered today against Hillary Clinton's former IT specialist this afternoon in the House Rules Committee. The significance is that means those charges are now just one step away from reaching the House floor right before the election. These charges for Brian Pagliano. You remember he worked at the State Department, set up Clinton's private server. He has defied 2 congressional subpoenas to testify. Pagliano and former State Department Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills, as you noted, are 2 of 5 people in Clinton's orbit who were given immunity deals by the FBI. Controversial because immunity usually suggests there was criminal liability in the case, and yet there were no criminal charges actually brought by the FBI. FBI Director James Comey in the hot seat yesterday in the Senate. He defended the decision to grant Mills legal immunity by saying it gave him access to a laptop the FBI wanted. But as you heard Judge Napolitano so adroitly point out earlier on the show, this creates a conflict of interest. Mills was representing Clinton as a lawyer, then turned over that laptop and became a witness, so she should have left the case, an entanglement that Comey was pressed over.
A grand jury subpoena for a lawyer's laptop would likely entangle us in litigation over privilege for a very long time. And so by June of this year, I wanted that laptop. Our investigators wanted that laptop, and the best way to get it was through negotiation.
Do you think any laws were broken by Cheryl Mills?
We have no evidence to establish that she committed a crime.
Comey will face more heat today when he testifies before the House Judiciary Committee. By the way, remember that back in June, during a private deposition, Pagliano invoked the Fifth more than 125 times in 90 minutes. I'm not too good at math, but it sounds like he invoked the Fifth more than once a minute. Guys?
That's a lot of fifths. All right, Ed Henry, we thank you very much. Why do you need an immunity deal from the Department of Justice if you didn't do anything wrong?
And why do you need an immunity deal to hand over your laptop? If DOJ wants your laptop, they should be able to get it if it's involved in an investigation.
How you get it does matter, though, when the investigation unfolds. But speed matters, according to Comey, and as it will, how quick I pass over to Abby.
That's right. Before we go to Abby, though, Abby coming up in about 2 minutes, we're going to have Trey Gowdy with us.
Oh, that'll be great. Maybe we can answer some of those really important questions you guys have.
We're going to ask him.
Forward to that, yeah.
Thank
All right,
you.
we do have some headlines to get to this morning. Some tense moments for Charlotte police after a bomb scare shuts down their headquarters. Officers not taking any chances, calling in the bomb squad about a suspicious box. Well, inside they found a light bulb, cell phone, and a flashlight. No word yet on who it belonged to. Charlotte police have been under attack for days now following the shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott. Protesters are now demanding that the mayor and the police chief resign. Well, Marlins fans will have a chance to say a final goodbye to pitcher Jose Fernandez today. A public memorial is being held tonight in Miami. A private funeral for family and the team is tomorrow. The 24-year-old rising star and 2 friends were killed in a boat crash over the weekend. Police now saying that high speed and alcohol are not factors in the crash at this time. They are still trying to figure out what happened. So sad. Well, a Yankees fan's marriage proposal turns into a total nightmare on live TV. Watch this.
Where the guy asked the young lady to marry him, took out the ring, and the ring dropped, and they could not find it. And they're looking now under the chairs. Go look at this poor guy.
Luckily, a fan finds the ring, allowing him to get down on one knee and complete the proposal. The groom-to-be later admitting that he was terrified.
I was starting to think, oh no, like if we don't find this will be like the biggest fail in history.
Well, the ring was found inside the cuff of his now fiance's pant leg, and luckily she said yes after all that. Could you imagine? All right, and this story will melt your heart. A 6-year-old boy who spotted smoke from his house responding in the cutest way possible, his mom driving him to the scene in Colorado so he could help firefighters. But first, he put on his firefighter costume that he wore for Halloween 3 years ago. Look how cute he is. The little boy was awarded an honorary police badge for his help. And those are some of your headlines, guys. Back to you.
So cute.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Abby.
So, are you curious why members of Hillary Clinton's inner circle got immunity deals from the Department of Justice? So is Congressman Trey Gowdy. He's going to be grilling the head of the FBI later.
In less than an hour, the head of the FBI gets grilled on Capitol Hill. Director Comey is forced to explain immunity deals in the Clinton email scandal. So what should we all expect? South Carolina Trey Gowdy will be interrogating James Comey on the stand, and he joins us now to weigh in. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What can we expect today? What are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to ask Director Comey immunity from what? When you give 5 get-out-of-jail-free cards, most of us start looking for a jail. And nobody went to jail.
Right.
So you're giving out immunity for what? For the destruction of evidence, for the possession of classified material? What was the immunity for?
Well, in the case of Cheryl Mills, he said yesterday, and I'm sure you watched all of it, and we'll get the transcripts. He said yesterday, I did it for Cheryl Mills because I wanted speed. She's going to take forever to get that laptop. I need that laptop quick to move the investigation along. We didn't have any suspicion that she did anything criminally negligent.
Well, you know, there is no Bureau of Prisons for laptops. Laptops don't go to prison. People go. So did you give the immunity to the laptop, or did you give it to her? I think you gave it to her, and if so, for what? And when you talk about Cheryl Mills, one day she's a target, one day she's a witness, and then the next day she's sitting in Secretary Clinton's interview as a lawyer. And I can just tell you, as somebody that did this for a living, that is unprecedented.
Yeah, you know, Congressman, on the other side, the people who are going to sit across from you in the room, the Democrats there say, look, this is just a witch hunt. You know, we're 40-some days before the election. You're just trying to make Hillary Clinton look bad.
Well, it's not just Secretary Clinton. It is everyone in this case was not prosecuted. Not a single person was prosecuted. So my focus is not just on her. My focus is on the justice system. We can survive a president that's not all that good. We've done it in the past. What we can't survive is a justice system that people do not have confidence in. No one who sent classified information was prosecuted. No one who received it. No one who was part of the destruction of federal records. So this, to me, and maybe I'm just a universe of one, is not about her. It is about a blindfolded woman holding a set of scales and whether or not you have confidence in the process.
Now, Congressman, here's my question, though. Okay, so they want her laptop. They want Cheryl Mills' laptop, who's the lawyer for Hillary Clinton. Why don't they just get a quick search warrant? You can easily get that from a judge in a matter of minutes. Why don't they go into her house, get the laptop if they need it for the investigation? Why do they have to give her immunity? That's like saying, guess what? I'm going to give you immunity, but you have to hand over that laptop. In any other situation, this would never be the case.
No, you would use a grand jury subpoena or a search warrant. Now, what Comey said yesterday was because she's a lawyer, then you have attorney-client privilege issues. And there is some merit to that. But that gets back to my original point. Cheryl Mills, I mean, here's the moral of the story. Hire a lawyer to be your chief of staff, because then what you want to be made public can be made public, and what you don't want to be made public, you can claim attorney-client privilege.
Sweet deal.
It is great. Wow. So, moral of the story, hire a lawyer to be your chief of staff.
So this thing, weeks after the final verdict was handed out, and there'll be no indictment, but of course James Comey's words were critical of Hillary Clinton, you have even more questions. What was dumped on you on Friday that raised even more questions? Was it just this 5 people who have immunity, including Brian Pagliano, who was told by Cheryl Mills to start deleting the emails?
Well, the date of the immunity agreements, which are pretty late in the investigation, that was something that some of us prosecutors took note of. But quite frankly, the fact that the FBI, and the F stands for fidelity, and then bravery, and then integrity, on a Friday afternoon when nobody is paying attention, is going to release documents in a case that's really important to a lot of people. I expect that of the State Department. I do not expect that of the FBI. So if he wants to say we're doing this straight by the book, it is your typical Friday afternoon dump. Before you're coming next week, I expect much better of the FBI.
And that's the same Cheryl Mills that stormed out of the FBI interview, correct? And was never asked those questions that got her angry enough to leave?
Right, she stormed out because her lawyer, who used to work for the Department of Justice, by the way, and the DOJ lawyers had an agreement about what she would and would not be asked, and the FBI apparently was not part of that deal, so they, God forbid, asked a question that went into an area she didn't want it to go, so that's why she left. This whole thing would not happen to Cheryl Smith or Cheryl Jones, but it happened to Cheryl Mills, and that is my focus. Why are you treating this case differently than you would anyone else's?
What's the answer to that, Congressman?
Politics, I guess, and a Department of Justice that has been politicized. I mean, keep in mind, the head of the Department of Justice met on a tarmac for 30 minutes. She claims to talk about golf and grandkids. There's not a guy in the world that's going to talk 30 minutes about their grandkids. Maybe about golf.
Maybe golf, right.
Maybe golf, but not their grandkids.
Really?
Right.
That's disappointing. We also learned on Friday that she had a secret aide or an intern, confidential assistant that worked for her.
Monica Hanley.
There's her picture right there. She's the one, being circled there. She was the one that was told to go on eBay several times and buy these Blackberries for Hillary Clinton because you can't really get a Blackberry anymore. Even though, Congressman, remember, Hillary only was supposed to have one device. That's at least what she told you guys.
Yeah, well, she told the whole world she had one device, but she also told the whole world that she didn't send or receive classified information, that she returned all of her work products, and she was kind of iffy on who Sidney Blumenthal was. So most of what she said initially was demonstrably false. That's the next issue the FBI has to decide. You can get away with lying to the public. That's not a crime, but you can't lie to Congress.
Right.
Maybe that ought to be reversed, but right now you can lie to the public, but you can't lie to Congress. Some of what she said to Congress, and that matter has been referred to the FBI also.
This is going to be a fantastic hearing. We're all going to tune in. Trey Gowdy, thank you very much. We know you got a busy day. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Go Gamecocks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Go Gamecocks. Yes, ma'am.
You are partisan in that way. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, no one asks better, more crisper questions than Trey Gowdy when it comes to these hearings.
All right. Meanwhile,